Hello and welcome to our introductory video taking you through the key differences between Colleague version 6 and Colleague 7. In this video we'll talk about Colleague 7's layout and design, looking specifically at how this is different to version 6. We'll discuss some of the new features of Colleague 7 and touch on how some of the workflows have changed. And as a key point we'll go through our development approach with Colleague 7. What you can expect from Colleague, and how your feedback and engagement will be invaluable to us over the coming months and ongoing. So firstly, what is Colleague 7? Colleague 7 is a browser-based true cloud solution. It comes fully integrated with Office 365 and utilizes Microsoft Azure as its hosting platform. This allows Colleague to provide a robust and secure offering, accessible anywhere in the world without any software dependencies beyond your browser and an internet connection. Colleague 7 was initially designed in response to the market need for a true cloud solution and has been built to cater for the needs of a version 6 client. As a cloud solution, the upgrade model is vastly different to v6, with upgrades to be expected every month. Being browser-based has allowed us to use different technologies and approaches to our integrations, and as a result our development turnaround has increased. And also, by comparison to our previous cloud offering in Colleague Live, 7 offers considerable cost savings to the end user. We'll now log in and focus on the key differences between version 6 and Colleague 7. Okay, so we're going to start with the home page. This is the landing page that you access when you log into Colleague 7. It's the first page you see, and what you have here are a set of dials that have been set up based on the KPIs that are set against this user. This is all set within admin, so these are all configurable in terms of the targets that you set the consultant and the priorities that you want them to work against. So as you click on each dial, the associated data relating to that figure will then appear within this below table, and obviously access to that associated record is then available to just click through, so you can access it there. So the idea behind this is that you have an overview of all of your relevant records to the user. You see you have an animation here that will increase based on your achievement versus target. And the unit of measure relating to your target, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, can also be set within the admin area. And this area supports up to 15 different dials if you want it to, but we've obviously got 5 set up here as part of the demo. As part of the team overview page, this is a more broader overview based on the user's team and or the company based on how you've got it set up. But this will give you an overview of all of the requirements that are in situ, all of the interviews that are set to take place, pending offers and placements as well, and their forecasted value. You also then have access to the associated records within the tables beneath as well. So the idea is that you've got the user overview in terms of related records to that user, and team overview in terms of an overview of what's going on with the team, and that's the landing page to Colleague 7. Okay, so moving over to the right hand side, and you've got the user specific menu. Here you'll find the email relating to your user, the confirmation on whether or not you're connected to the Microsoft Graph, which is Office 365 essentially. You have some options here for creating new records, shortcuts, and you have access to your user settings here as well. So in here you'll have user specific settings relating to your user, as well as access to your email signature as well here. What you'll also find on this area is the notifications panel. So this is an area that we're planning to update more and more as time goes on, with regards to keeping the user informed about activity relating to certain records, certain users, inform you about licensing details. When you send out an email with an option to download a link, there'll be a notification confirmation that the CV has been downloaded, and more notifications in general will just be traveled through this area. Last thing to point out is the help file, which will be an area to watch videos of this nature, taking you through different workflows, as well as user documentation in there as well, and obviously sign out to log out of Colleague 7. Moving over to the left hand side, and top left you will have the Colleague logo, which when clicked will take you to the home page, but beneath that you have what is a key differentiator between 6 and 7, which is the quick search. So in here you simply type in the name, the company, the job title of the record that you're looking for, and do a search, and it will go away and try and find that record. You can, as I say, you can enter in a company name or a person's name, whether that be candidate, contact, and it will go away and try and find that record. As another example, if I do something like account manager, it will go away and look at records that have referenced account manager, where there be requirements, offers, interviews, placements. You also have a record type filter here as well, so if you want to filter against different types of records, that could be used there. So quick search has sort of become the new kind of default method of quickly looking up a record, in comparison to the selection search options that used to be there. So it's a key differentiator between 6 and 7. Next point to cover is with regards to documents received. So this is the option that you would use when you're accessing your inbox from within Colleague. Documents received is set up so that from this from date, it will look at all emails that you've received from that date to today's date. So you can change obviously the dates, and it will look further back to perhaps find emails that you've been sent further behind. But if we bring it forward to today's date, then you'll get a list of obviously emails that are relevant to you. And when I say this is access to your inbox, this is emails that have received attachments. The idea behind this workflow is that it's to be used when accessing the CV parser, and also there's the option to obviously attach documents to existing records in the system as well. This will work by you clicking on the selected record. It will obviously give you a little snapshot of the email itself, but these options then appear where you have the option to parse a document or attach the document. Just to quickly show how the attaching document works, you click on that option, and it will give the option to or attempt to do an auto-matched records list based on the email address of the email that's obviously in your inbox, and it will try and find associated records that it thinks you want to link this document to. You can turn that off, or you can leave that on, either way, but you can also have an automatic lookup as well. So if you want to try and find the record through other means, then you can obviously enter that search in there, and hopefully through that process you can find the record you want, and then obviously save the attachment to that record. In terms of parsing, you've got the option to click on the parser, and it will obviously give you an option here. And this has come up because it's the sender's email address is associated to an existing record, so it's giving a warning on that. But otherwise, it would just launch that CV parser. This works in a similar format to the way it works in version 6 in terms of the option to review both the CV and obviously the content that is found. And you have, as you click on each tab, the options being pulled through here. A key differentiator with this is the fact that it's pulling through the work history. It's pulling through the details from the skills, from the CV relating to the work history that's contained there, and those then create situations within Colleague. In the instance of this where you've got duplicates that have been found, you've got the option here to click on view duplicates, and then you can obviously access those associated records that it thinks may be linked with the CV that you've added. If you click on a selected duplicate or a suggested duplicate, more to the point, you do have the option to update that selected candidate as well. Again, you can attach the CV to that selected candidate if you like, but you can also update it as well, or ignore. So if we just look at what the update functionality is, this is looking at obviously the past information from the CV and looking at the current value data held in the system, and then you've got the process there that you can go through of updating it by clicking on update record and it processing it that way. So that's significantly different in terms of the way you process CVs within 6 in terms of being able to update existing records and also attaching existing documentation. Next point to cover is events. So this is your diary, or more to the point, your Outlook calendar. There is no colleague specific diary within Colleague 7. You will link, there's a full integration with the Outlook calendar that is pulled through here. When you create diary entries within Colleague, it goes straight into your Outlook calendar. There is no in between. You have the option to access associated records when creating diary entries, just as you did with 6. But this is a key differentiator in that there isn't a colleague diary. The diary that you have is your Outlook calendar. From it here, this is an area that we plan on developing further over the course of the next 3 months at the time of this recording. And in terms of its layout, you obviously have it at a month layout layout, a weekly layout, or you have the daily overview as well. But this is how you would access your diary and a basic overview of where it currently stands. Okay, so the next point to cover is with regards to search. There is an option here for Power BI, but Power BI is essentially an integration with Microsoft Power BI, so it's a third-party extra element to Colleague 7, is not actually part of the main system in itself. The way it will work is that you would click on Power BI and it opens up a separate tab taking you through to the Power BI area for Microsoft Office 365. But as I say, we're not going to cover that in this video. We'll go to the search area next, and that will get covered off when that essentially development project is at a point where it's appropriate to record a video taking you through the whole functionality there. As far as the search area is concerned, if we click on that search, you'll see it very similar to the way it is set out within Colleague 6 in terms of candidate, company, contact, requirement as options, and the different fields that you can search being listed on the left hand side, and this area dynamically updating as you click on each of the options there. A key differentiator here between 6 and 7 is to do with skill criteria and the way that we've set this out. So with 6 and prior, there was and, or, and not boxes. In Colleague 7 we build a search criteria phrase, essentially string containing all of the elements that you want to search against, and we use these and, or, and not options here to build that phrase. So it's an option here, put events manager, and you can say and, or, so I say and sales manager, and then I put an or there, account manager, and let's say project manager. And you can basically build a skill string based on all of the different criteria that you may want to search against, and it allows it to be more comprehensive in terms of the skill searching that you're looking to achieve in comparison to what could be done before. In terms of the different listings here, if you were searching a numerical field, you could search by from and to. If you were searching a date field, from and to. If you're searching against lookup lists, again you've got this same option here to select different titles, and as you enter your criteria, you'll notice that obviously the found count is up there as well, obviously reading the criteria that you're entering and dynamically displaying how many records are being found based on that criteria. Doing a text-based search, if I just bring that up, when you're ready and you're happy with the found count, you would hit show results, and that would pull through the records essentially. Again, we're not looking to move you about or jump you around on the page, so to control that, the results will appear from top and scroll down from there, and obviously the criteria is beneath. As far as the different toolbar options, they're the same as you saw, or as you can see within 6 with regards to the different options that are available. The option to save searching is there, the option to merge searches are there, the option to save criteria is also there, and obviously link it with associated requirements. And if you want to look at, say, the text of the CV against the search criteria that you ran, text criteria, obviously that option is there as it were before. So essentially all the options are there from the version 6 search built within Colleague 7, but as I say, with a few different minor tweaks with regards to like the skill criteria and a few of the field searching options. Next point to cover is the selection views. These are all these options here. They're the same as you would know them within version 6, in that if you would select on the entity within here, you can enter in specific fields relating to the field, the candidates that you're looking for, the records that you're looking for, and it will pull up a list of those records there. Again, the quick search is there as a quick refer option, and perhaps has superseded some of the more generic or quicker lookups that you might have done using these selection lookups now with the quick search, but it's still there, and these are still there as options if perhaps you wanted to do more of a comprehensive lookup based on a series of fields, and you wanted a list of candidates with it viewing certain option types perhaps that you'd like to see. You'll notice that we've added interviews and offers in here as well as a different selection type lookups. The next point to cover relates to recent items and favourites. So recent items is essentially an audit trail of records that you've previously accessed. The differentiator between V6 and V7 here is that you have a record type lookup where you're allowed to filter on your previously accessed records, and also as well there was a recent records limitation in terms of being able to view requirements and placements in 6, and that obviously isn't the case within 7. You can, against all entity types, look at recent records that you access there. In terms of favourites, against all the main entity types there is an option in there under View More to add to favourites. So it used to be called Hot List within V6, it's called Favourites within 7 because that's essentially what it is. It's the favourite records that you frequently return to, and this is just a quick way of accessing those records there. The final options to touch on are admin and ideas and feedback. We're not going to go into admin in terms of navigating around this area, as it is essentially what was previously called global settings, and that requires another video in its own right. Essentially the point of this video is to take you through the main differences between 6 and 7, so admin is a different area entirely. But ideas and feedback is the user voice integration. So within here you can sign up to user voice, and colleague 7 has its own user voice account where you can upload enhancement requests and essentially ideas relating to the system as a whole, feedback. That this is our mechanism for allowing the end user to respond and provide feedback to us as colleague 7 evolves. But next point along now is to essentially go into a record and essentially go through the main differentiators between 6 and 7 relating to a specific record. Okay, so we'll start from within a candidate record, and the first point of note is that there's no save button. We have what's referred to as inline saving, which is to say that when you update a field with new data, as part of that process it saves that record or saves that field data against the record. There's no process that's required in addition to that to make sure that information is then saved. So no save button is a key element, and that's the same throughout the entire system. Whenever you update fields, whenever you reselect data in whatever context, it's then making that save back to the database so that it's associated with the record. The next point of note is to do with the partial views. So partial views are it's colleagues' effort essentially to ensure that you're not swamped with pop-ups as you run workflows in the system. What we have done is have it so that whenever you select different functionality, the workflow will scroll down from above so that you remain on the record, on the page as you need to be, and then essentially you can stay focused in terms of what you're working on. Also in terms of speed and efficiency, you can run your necessary workflow and obviously instantly be returned to where you were. So partial views exist throughout the system against all the major workflows, and it's how we've gone about developing the design of the system in terms of its layout to ensure that, as I say, the pop-ups are avoided as much as possible. Next point of note is relating to the tabs. As far as the different tab structures that you can see here, they will be very familiar because it's the same essentially structure-wise to what you know from colleague V6. There are some extra tabs that have been added, namely the Spec CV Sense tab, which is for instances where you have speculatively sent a candidate CV to a contact via the workflow. This is a track record of instances where you've done that. And also we have a requirements tab now, which is essentially what you'd expect it to be, a list of all associated requirements that have ever been linked with the record, with that be at whatever stage, including placed, with obviously the ability to navigate to those associated records as well. Another element that's been added here in terms of tabs is the summary. So this has been added to all the main entity types. There's a summary tab here, and what it essentially contains is a small dashboard report display that's been designed to give you really a snapshot in terms of perhaps what's happened with the record over the course of the last 12 months and what's the situation at play today in terms of where the record is at and any current interviews, pending offers, live requirements, and you have access to click on this little plus sign here and have an overview and access to those associated records as well. So that's just, again, the same on all associated entities. Just to touch on documents and how those documents are stored with Colleague 7. So with Colleague version 6, you'll be used to documents very much being outside of the system in their own file structure and their own set of folders, and searches against those folders being established through indexes, and records are very much linked to those locations in the folder structure for the CVs and the documents. With Colleague 7, obviously it's hosted on Azure and it's a cloud solution, so the documents are very much held within that platform. They're hosted on Azure with the record. So obviously documents are uploaded onto Azure, and to avoid the situation where you have to download the documents if you want to read them when they're associated with the record, we've created a preview area here where you can view the documentation. Now for Word documents and RTF documents, these are converted into plain text at the moment. We do have plans to turn this into an RTF view, or a formatted view, so that it's not just plain text when you're looking at that. But we've also got a PDF editor in here as well to view PDFs. You can also view images as well, but all this is obviously done so that you don't have to download anything unnecessary. You can obviously view it all within the page. This doesn't extend to social media links due to security restrictions that are beyond our control. These cannot be viewed within the document preview. However, you can access the social media pages just as quickly, obviously, from the preview button there, clicking on the social media icons. So that is the established mechanism for accessing your social media. Moving on to talking about email and how this is different between 6 and 7. Obviously with email it's considerably different in 7. There is no dependency on Outlook as the method in which the email is sent. Essentially you write your emails actually within Colleague 7 itself. So you click on the email option and the email form will slide down. There's obviously the option to enter email addresses in the to field, but it will default with the record that you're within as the to field, and you can enter in obviously fields into the CC. And again, you can obviously look up different records to be included as part of this. You can access email templates on the fly as you'd expect, and also merge fields as well. So another key point that is available that is again a unique thing for 7 in terms of comparison to 6 is that you have the option for a preview now. So if you want to see how the email is going to look before it is sent out, you can hit preview and all the merge fields will pull through their data and display the record, or display the email, sorry, before it's sent and how it's going to look. You also have the option with attachments to add the file attachment relating to the specific record that you're within. You have the option to look up attachments against other records. So if you want to include attachments from perhaps terms of business from a certain company, or you want to include perhaps a job specification from a requirement, you can look up and attach whatever attachments that you need. And there's also the option to upload a file attachment by literally from your local PC, bringing through and opening an attachment that way. And that's the email. Okay, next point to cover is the creation of a document, which is different again to Colleague 6. So the creation of a document will work similar way to the way in which an email is sent, in that you click on the option and the form view will scroll down from above. Here you have access to the different templates that you have set up against the record type, plus you have access obviously to the merge field, so you can create either a letter on the fly, or you can pull through a letter template and obviously have that letter be populated within here. Just as you had with the email process, you have the option to preview with the merge field pulling through. You have that same option with letter. If you use save as the option there, then it will create the document and it will put it into the documents area. Also, as a key point to note, when you're creating a document, the actual document that you're creating is a PDF file. The reason why we've done that is to again avoid this dependency on a local software being required to be able to open the document. So when you create a document, it's a PDF document, and this is what is stored against the documents area. Now if you use share as another option, then the document is created, but then an email is promptly created with that document now attached to that email, so you can then go on to send that document on to the associated candidate that you're creating the document for. And that's the create document process. Another key point to touch on is with regards to the Candidates tab in Requirements. So the Requirements layout is very similar to how it is within 6 in terms of the tab structure and the way that the fields are spread. We do have a Rates tab now for storing rates against a requirement if it's of a contract. Yeah, in terms of the rest of the requirement, it's the same. But with the Candidates tab, we have changed this so it's now more of a horse race setup in terms of you're listing your assigned or long listed candidates down here, and then you're progressing those candidates through the different stages, and the dates in which they've received in that stage can be seen here. This means that it's quite straightforward to see where each candidate is at any one time. You also then have links to the associated records relating to the requirement at any time per row. So in terms of how this would work, you would long list a candidate, that confirms there. It starts off by being long listed. You then go to shortlisted, and obviously the date is populated there. You then go to sent, and this process obviously launches the email, in which case you can select a template, and here you've got access to the inline CV link here. So the CVs are sent to the contacts as a link which they download. You have the option also to attach options as well. This is obviously just the email form. You then send that email, and as you can see, it's then progressed on to the next stage, and that's the same then for the interview and ongoing for the both offer, the start date for the placement, and obviously the rejected process can be run from within there as well. So that's essentially how this workflow is set up. So you can just progress through the different stages, and the date associated is then listed there. Just as important as the software is the manner in which Colleague is now delivering development. This has been in place for a while now, but to explain, Colleague now undertakes its dev work in fortnightly cycles. These consist of reviews, retrospective assessment, planning and refinement sessions, but it's known as Agile and has been made possible by the technology we're developing in. It's a proven development practice which ensures regular iterative upgrades so that you are seeing a steady run of progress from us. As part of this cycle, I will record 2 videos every fortnight, one for the development we've just done, which is called the Sprint Review, and another one for the development we're about to undertake, which is called the Sprint Plan. There is a mailing list which I'll use to distribute the content, and you'll see release notes being distributed with these updates as well. An imperative point to this to ensure you're getting the most out of this new way of working is feedback, suggestions, concerns or queries. We have our roadmap and will continue to develop based on these plans. Because of this way of working, we have flexibility to engage and demand based on certain features or requests for a particular functionality. And on that note, if you have any queries or feedback, please get in touch. I'll be keen to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to receive a full demonstration of Colleague 7, our sales team are standing by to help, and they'll be able to guide you through the steps to upgrading your infrastructure to be on the cloud, as well as moving to Colleague 7. This was a little longer than previously planned, but hopefully it's helped give you some insight into what we're doing and what you can expect from Colleague over the coming months. If you or any of your colleagues would like to join the mailing list, please let me know, and I'll make sure that you receive the updates. But for now, thanks for watching.